Here we are today looking at this beautiful home. Let me pan around so you know where I'm at. I'm on the corner of Law Street and Pineapple Avenue. If you can't see Pineapple, trust me. This is the home of W.H. Gleason. He was the first lieutenant governor of Florida after the Civil War. And more importantly, he is known as the founder of Eau Gallie, Florida. Of course, Eau Gallie doesn't exist anymore. It's now considered North Melbourne. But for those of us born and raised here, we still call it Eau Gallie. Now, William Henry Gleason, he was married to Sarah, and they had two kids, actually two boys, William Henry Hunt Gleason and George Griffin Gleason. Now, William Henry, he lived just up the street, which we'll show you in a few minutes. His wife's name was FLORA BELLE, and George Griffin, his wife's name was Mary. Now, looking at this house, you can imagine all the important folks that would come in here and have the conversations with Mr. Gleason. And just think about looking at it now, how impressive it is. Imagine how impressive it was, you know, way back in the day. So, just a great looking house, and a lot of history inside these walls, I'm sure. But pretty fantastic just to look back and just think of the founder of Eau Gallie living right here all those years. Now, as I panned around here, looking down the street, this is right between Law Street and Aurora Street, and Aurora is just down the road there. But in between those two streets on the east side of Pineapple here, in the early 1870s, Mr. Gleason donated about 2,300 acres to the state of Florida for an agricultural college. Now, before the school even opened, there was a change into the guard in Tallahassee, and they had the school moved to Lake City. And eventually, it would be moved again and become what we know today as University of Florida. Now, Mr. Gleason bought back the building, and he turned it into the Granada Hotel, and actually his son George managed it for a while. It was destroyed by fire in 1902. Now look close and you may see what I believe was called Lansing Basin. You can clearly see it from the bird's eye view I'm going to show. Now, the boats pictured in the old photo likely belonged to William Lansing Gleason. Now, he, along with his sister Isabelle, were the children of H.H. and FLORA BELLE Gleason. Now, Lansing lived here on the river, north of the basin, just north of where Aurora Road ends at Pineapple. Now, Lansing is the co-founder of Indian Harbor Beach. The Gleason Auditorium at FIT is named after him, as well as an affluent neighborhood named Lansing Island. Now, across from the former home site of Lansing Gleason is 1800 Pineapple Avenue. Now, this was the home of William H.H. Gleason, Lansing's dad. Now, Lansing was born inside this home. Now, I must say, I can't absolutely confirm that this is indeed the home of H.H. Gleason. Some of my research tells me this house was built in 1938. But for the sake of the story, I'm going to stick to this being the original home. Now, H.H. Gleason was heavily involved in the real estate business just like his son. He was also a lawyer. And his mother, Sarah, left the W.H. Gleason home to him in 1912. Now, W.H.H. Gleason and George Gleason went into the real estate business together. Now, this building here was built in 1910. Now, by 1910, George Gleason was already back up in St. Augustine, so he really never used this building, though the Gleason brothers, the official name of the company, did operate their business out of the second floor of this building. And you actually get a really good view of this building from the front of 1736 Pineapple. I'm not sure if I mentioned the address of the W.H. Gleason home. You get a good shot of the building from the front yard of this home. So not far from the former homes of the Gleasons, just across the road, you'll find the Eau Gallie Cemetery where several family members are laid to rest. So quite amazing to walk along here and just think about the history that this family has created. Quite a few of the Gleasons are laid to rest here. W.H.H. Gleason is here with his wife FLORA BELLE, daughter Isabelle, and William Lansing Gleason is here as well, their son. And his wife Carol, their son William Henry is laid to rest here. And just a short walk across from them is some other Gleasons. George Griffin Gleason is not here. However, Charles Ivan, his son, and wife Nellie is here. George William is here with his wife, Mildred Estes. But some of the Gleasons obviously are not here. I understand they're a little further north of here. We're going to go and pay our respects to them as well. Of course, the big man himself, William Henry Gleason, is not here, and we've got to find him. Well, the road brings us up here to the Evergreen Cemetery in St. Augustine, Florida, north of Melbourne. And this is where we end our trip, where we find some more Gleason family members. We're going to go inside, but I just find it interesting that this is about the time when this cemetery was created, when they started taking them away from the urban areas and by all the churches or right next on the outskirts of town, and moved them kind of in their own little section, as you read the sign, where it's more tranquil, peaceful, quiet, where you can reflect and such. So we're away from being graveyards, which are typically attached to churches, and they started making more cemeteries, which are their own secluded places, which this would be one of them. So we're going to take a look inside here and see what other members of the Gleason family are in here. Well, the first thing I noticed here is the Helen, Henry, and Alden. They're all children of George and Mary. Alden, I'm assuming, might have been a twin of Elaine. I'm not quite sure. Obviously born the same year. Henry died a very young death as well. And Helen lived to be around 9 years old. Don't read much about them. Don't really know the story there. So hopefully somebody can help me out there. And George spent the last 16 years of his life being a captain, either a boat or a ship captain, not sure. But he moved up here around 1902. And there's our founder of Eau Gallie, Florida, and his wife Sarah, Mr. William Henry Gleason. Well, this is kind of where our trip ends, out here with the Gleason family. I think it's fitting that it ends standing right here by the patriarch of the family, William Henry Gleason. Obviously they had a lot of wealth, the family, most of it, if not all of it, started with him. Left a lot behind, a lot of business ventures and such. But what I've really read researching them is not really the wealth, but it's just what kind of people he was, what kind of people his family has been over the years down there in Melbourne and the old Eau Gallie section. So that's what I take away from most of the research I've done on the family, is just they were just good people. So it really was an honor to come down here and do this video. Anything you want to add, anything that you can add to the video that I didn't add, feel free to do so. Any corrections, feel free to put them down there. We want certainly accuracy. So anyway, thanks for coming along for this video, and I will see you next time. You know, as usual, I have to thank Ann Rayleigh a lot again for giving me a lot of information. She lent me some of the photos that were in this video. Anytime I hit a stumbling block when I'm looking for something, some information, something locally, I usually send her a little message or something, and she always has helped me out. So thank you, Ann, again, as usual, for all your help. And anyway, on all these videos I do, I try just to minimize what I put out there. I could have gone on and on with the Gleason family, but I try to put a little bit out there so the folks that are interested will get just a little bit, just enough to make them want to look into it themselves. And that's really the fun part about the videos. It's not the finished product, because when you're finished, you go to something else. But it's the research, and it's the learning, and finding out things you didn't know. That's the fun part. And that's kind of what I try to do with my videos, make people do the same thing, just to look into something a little bit deeper if they're interested. So that's kind of what these videos are all about.